Charles Bronson was Hollywood's meanest tough guy, yet one man could drive him insane. It wasn't another action star. Critics didn't trash his films. Someone laughed at his biggest insecurity while filming The Dirty Dozen. The director believed it was a joke, but Bronson never forgot the humiliation. The animosity was so strong that he still talked about revenge 30 years later. Hollywood's worst feud is revealed. Charles Bronson was never meant to be famous. Charles Dennis Bukinski, the 11th of 15 children, was born in a destitute Pennsylvania coal mining village. Parents were Lithuanian immigrants who lived to survive. He wore his sister's outfit to school at 6, since they couldn't afford decent clothes. Without English, he spoke Lithuanian and Russian, making him feel like an outcast in his own nation. That harsh, silent strength in his films, not an act, but who he had to be to survive. It grew worse when his father died. Bronson was 10. He went straight to the coal mines while other kids played or went to school. The labor was brutal, dark, dangerous, and suffocating. For $1 per ton, he lugged coal in tiny tunnels for 12 hours a day, never gave up. He dug, pushed, and gave up his garments for his younger siblings. Despite all that, he graduated high school, becoming the first in his family. At 21, he joined the Army Air Forces during World War II to avoid the mines. He faced peril as a B-29 bomber gunner over Japan. On one mission, he was wounded and received a Purple Heart. Despite conflict, he felt life had improved. He once commented, "I never had it that good. I ate and slept well. It was luxurious compared to home." His service was questioned, but his documents were true. Bronson was involved. He had many occupations after the war until one unforeseen opportunity altered everything. He was recruited by a little theater to paint scenery, not play. Standing near the stage, something clicked. He started with tiny roles and showed innate talent. He wasn't showy. There was something about him. Soon, he shared a cramped New York apartment with struggling actor Jack Klugman. He left for Hollywood in 1949 to make it big. When Charles Bronson entered Hollywood in 1950, his face showed suffering. He didn't appear like a normal leading man, rough, worn, and sculpted by a difficult childhood. Casting directors failed to spot stars. They saw muscle, a stone face for villains, thugs, and henchmen, roles with no names or lines, just a punch or bullet to take. Not Charles Bronson yet. His real name was Charles Bukinski. He realized the name was too foreign during the McCarthy-era Red Panic. He changed it to Bronson, borrowing it from Paramount Studios' Bronson Gate, a little deed that saved him in a town that wanted all its stars to look, talk, and sound alike. In the early 1950s, Bronson appeared in many films. He played background thugs, nameless troops, and people you forget after watching. Even among stars, he was invisible. He didn't grin or chat much, but his presence was felt. You couldn't ignore him. His eyes said, "You don't know me yet, but you will." Drumbeat in 1954 was the breakthrough. In a Western with Alan Ladd, Bronson played Captain Jack, a Modic warrior against the U.S. government. Based on genuine occurrences, Bronson became that man without too many words. He showed pride, pain, and fire in his countenance. One reviewer said he stole the film. Not just a compliment, it was a warning shot. Bronson finished as Thug Number 2. That final jail cell scene revealed a side of him Hollywood had overlooked for too long. Sense humor. A human edge and genuine rhythm that no one expected. Drumbeat seated him at the adult table, and the audience noticed for the first time. 4 years later, Bronson got his name on the poster. Even bigger. It wasn't expensive to make Machine Gun Kelly. Bronson made it memorable despite its speed and cost. He played mobster George Kelly, frightened by his reputation, strong on the surface, scared on the inside, and Susan Cabot played his cruel lover, creating tension that crackled. One bank heist scene is narrated by Bronson's body language and steely glare. Critics went beyond liking it. Shocked, gritty, raw, and authentic. Some whispered that he could carry a movie. Hollywood didn't listen, not yet. Bronson remained in the shadows despite that excitement. He played man with a camera on TV and had supporting appearances in The Magnificent Seven, The Great Escape, and The Dirty Dozen. Always a sidekick, never first. By his 40s, most actors would have given up on stardom. Bronson wasn't born to quit. Europe noticed him, but American studios didn't. He was a quiet, cool, and strong hero in France, Italy, and Germany. European directors liked his stillness, look, and tension without speaking. International audiences made him famous before his home country. It was difficult. Hollywood struggled with him for years. He was too ethnic, rude, and ugly. He quipped that he looked like a dynamited rock quarry, and producers agreed. So they kept casting him as someone else. Native Americans, Mexicans, Greeks, Italians. Someone who appeared foreign. But everything changed when John Sturges cast him as Bernardo O'Reilly in The Magnificent Seven. He was older than most breakout actors at 39, but this part provided him something unique. He played a thoughtful gunman who knew courage wasn't just about guns. He once informed rural youths that their fathers, who farmed the land daily without pay, were heroes. The film was a blockbuster in Europe due to its quiet power. It launched his worldwide career also. Bronson showed he could convey meaning through muscles. 3 years later, The Great Escape provided him another chance to prove his worth. He played claustrophobic soldier Danny. His audacious prison break required tunneling. Bronson's eyes showed real terror. After his father died, he worked in coal mines as a child. He experienced underground confinement. Raw dread gave the role weight. John Sturges cast him to show that even the strongest guy can be weak. The result was remarkable, especially in Europe. Bronson was already a silent icon. As his reputation grew, his personal life unraveled. Bronson fell for Jill Ireland during The Great Escape filming. The issue? She married his co-star and friend David McCallum. Bronson was open about his feelings. He stunned everyone by making a move after his mother's death, and his marriage's breakdown caused rift. It affected his life, too. Bronson and Ireland married in 1968 and lived together for over 20 years. She was his wife and co-star in over a dozen films. They became one of Hollywood's most famous movie couples in the 1970s, when Bronson became a household name in America. His toughness carried over to 1966's The Dirty Dozen, filmed in England. This star-studded war film had more ego than space. Bronson didn't help himself. His alone made him seem remote. He was known on set as Charlie Sunshine for his somber demeanor, but it wasn't simply attitude. Shooting was hard. Filming took months due to delays. He lost co-star Lee Marvin. He was drunk and had to be dragged back from a tavern, barely sober for the next scene. It was chaos. However, it became the biggest success of 1967, collecting millions and surpassing significant titles. Not every memory from that set was a win. Bronson was always height-conscious. He was 5 feet 8 inches tall, and a group situation exposed his timidity. Bronson was placed between Clint Walker and Donald Sutherland, the set's tallest performers, by director Robert Aldrich for comic effect. It was humiliating and immediate. Everyone noticed. Bronson was outraged, but Aldrich chuckled. The event hit hard for a tough guy who spent years developing his image. It hurt, not just a prank. While beautiful performers starred, Charles Bronson played tough characters in the background. He starred in The Magnificent Seven and The Dirty Dozen, but Hollywood never gave him the lead. His rugged face and powerful presence were too much. Bronson waited as studios cast clean-cut heroes. By 1968, he was 47 and still no American leader. Like Clint Eastwood, he packed his things and went to Europe. The difference? Europe saw what Hollywood missed. Not being pretty didn't matter. They wanted grit, force, and presence. France called then. In Adieu, l'ami, European superstar Alain Delon, particularly requested Bronson's contribution. Producers were blunt. Europe doesn't like attractive faces. They value character. That movie's theater debut was electric. Obsessed French viewers. The film grossed millions, giving Bronson his due. He and Delon had raw, fascinating chemistry. The box office and critics noticed. After then, fate offered Bronson another shot. Sergio Leone, maker of The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, offered Bronson the role of a mystery harmonica-playing shooter in Once Upon a Time in the West. Bronson had rejected Leone's offer for a fistful of money, the job that established Eastwood years earlier. Lion found his man, and it was worth the wait. The film burst across Europe. It lasted a year in Paris. In Italy, Germany, France, Bronson was everywhere. Lion considered Bronson his best actor. People couldn't look away from his silent stare and tense movements. Rider on the Rain followed, a dark French thriller that earned Bronson a Golden Globe and immortalized him. Hits continued.